Hello, buddy. This is Purge, bringing you guys a replay commentary. This is a Bane game that I played on stream earlier this week, last week sometime. I don't remember which day it was, but I had my stream died a couple times in the middle of the game, so I had to thought that doing a replay commentary would be better because I wanted to upload this. So, Bane as a hero has become much stronger than in this new patch, and his major changes. Oh my god, the spam is annoying. The major changes are that Enfeeble is now a passive ability. That means that it automatically affects your skills as you cast them on enemy players. Enfeeble does status resistance reduction, and it also does magic resistance reduction. And Brain Sap also does magic damage now instead of pure. So what that means is that when you Brain Sap somebody, having more magic resistance reduction will mean that it will do more damage and therefore heal you for more than it would have before. So it's not going to counter heroes like Anti-Mage as well anymore, but against regular heroes you can increase your damage by a little bit. I was laning with Gunner this game. I was in a stack with Lil Nick and who was the other player? Fogged. And we ended up being queued into Gunner and Monkeys Forever, who were queued together. And this is part of the reason I picked Bane this game, is because the players in this game are really high MMR, not that guy. This guy's rank 86, 76, 64, 76. This was a lot of really high rank players. I was pretty much scared shitless, I'm not gonna lie. So generally when that's the case, I like to play with I'd like to pick heroes that are very strong at lane stabilizing, are very individually tanky, that kind of a thing. I think it's important to do this usually, because what it allows you to do is better just fight people and get into bad situations. When you're playing somebody that's individually tanky and people try to kill you, I have more buffer because I can make more mistakes because my hero has more armor, HP, damage. So with Brain Sap, I can heal myself for about 75 HP every 75 seconds, and I also deal good damage, and my armor is also pretty good, so I feel more comfortable fighting, if that makes sense. So I'm just trying to lane stabilize here. I'm trying to get them to focus on me and not on Gunner. And by doing this, what it's going to do is make his lane a little bit easier. I took a little bit more damage here than I maybe needed to. And I maybe also should have cut this tree. That way, if I want to get back over here to harass, I don't have to run past the creep wave again. But I was trying to be very sensitive to making sure that I'm doing the right thing in terms of harassing the right person. I came to lane with a magic stick because I saw there was a bristle, so it was very clear that I was going to be laning against him, and it's going to give me a lot more regen over the course of the laning stage. I should probably have used Brain Sap already, to be honest, just because of the fact that they were going to probably try to kill me. I used my magic stick right before I died, which is now going to let me to self. But this is basically the goal of a 5-position heroes. I want them to attack me. I want this lane to push, of course. It's also pretty important. And that's going to make sure that we finally get our level 2s. Now, at level 2, you should always get Nightmare, without a doubt. The reason being that Nightmare is arguably the skill that makes your hero viable in terms of kills and chases. Obviously, Brain Sap is fantastic because it's going to help you lane really well. But Nightmare is really important because if you guys watch Learn Dota series much, it basically has to do with the Holy Trifecta, which is the basically if you fight somebody to the death and they have more mobility than you and they deal more damage than you and they're tankier than you, then they're just always going to kill you first, right? But what Nightmare basically does is allows you to win the mobility category, because it always ensures that you can basically stop them from running at you, or to protect yourself basically, or you can use it to make sure that you can catch up and prevent them from gap closing and chasing you all the way. That's where things got a little bit weird. I should have gone for the courier a little bit faster, and I maybe should have banished the bristle instead. The downside using Nightmare though is it's a lot of mana. 165 of your limited mana pool is quite expensive, so you have to be a bit careful how you use it. And the way that Nightmare works right now is when you Nightmare somebody, you can attack them basically endlessly. I'm pretty much for sure dead here. I got a Brain Sap in, but creep blocking me like this isn't going to help either. I was able to buy myself a second due to Nightmaring because it dodged when the next hit from the bristle was going to come. When you use Nightmare on yourself or somebody else, it gives you invulnerability for 1 second, which means that you can dodge spells on yourself or allies, or of course use it to set up on enemies. So the reason that Nightmare is really important on the hero is just because of that Holy Trifecta thing. It doesn't matter as much like level 1, level 2, but it certainly matters in terms of being able to save yourself or disable other heroes that are running at your allies. So Nightmare is really important. I'm probably talking about it too much right now than I should have been, because it definitely matters a bit more later in terms of impact of the skill, because I don't actually max Brain Sap anymore. I used to always max Brain Sap by 7. Because I thought, like, that's my damage skill, that's how I trade hits, but really Nightmare is more important, and the reason is because of the ways I've nerfed it a little bit. The cast range goes up by a lot, 75 per level, and also the duration goes up, but most importantly is probably the cooldown. The cooldown and the cast range are probably the 2 more important things. I'm going to Nightmare this guy because he's the scary one that can dive. I could potentially be hitting the Debbie right now. I'm going to Brain Sap this dude here, because I want to make my tangos go longer effectively. Looks like they put a ward down to block this now. I also brought a clarity potion, that way I could refill my mana if I'm missing a lot of it. I'm also trying to make sure this pull through doesn't work, which seems like it actually did not work. Trying to make sure he doesn't break my clarity here, if possible. And then I'm going to max out Nightmare with Brain Sap now. Now you might be wondering, like, is it worth it? I should have been moving around earlier. I didn't realize that this guy would be vulnerable against Gunner. He probably has boots advantage. No, he's just stupidly fast. But I probably, if I would have moved in aggressively there, I just didn't assume that. I didn't know that we were going to be able to kill the Bristle, if that makes sense. There's the Brain Sap. It's the part where I Nightmare the Bristleback because he would have killed me otherwise, because he's faster and does more damage. So I have to lose 165 mana to survive there. And then I'm going to move over here, getting ready to pull. But this is the moment when I realize the camp is blocked. Any second I realize the camp is blocked here. So you don't really want to get an Enfeeble at level 4. The reason because you get 4% more magic damage, which does make your Brain Sap a little bit better. But it only makes you do approximately 8 more damage with your Brain Sap, which is not worth doing. The status resistance reduction would increase your disables by 15%. So that would mean your 4-second Nightmare is instead going to last for 4.6 seconds instead. Is that worth doing? Nope, it's not. So I'm getting 4.6 more Nightmare. I'm getting 0.6 more Nightmare seconds, but instead I could put that 4th skill point into a 2nd point of Nightmare, which would also increase the cast range, or also increase the damage of Brain Sap. But it's just better to do a 2nd point of Nightmare, 1 more duration and more cast range, and 3 more seconds of cooldown. All very valuable. Maybe stayed a little bit too long here. But again, every time I do this and go and fight them, they're using skills on me that they aren't using on Gunner instead, which is good for our team in the laning stage here, which is the main reason that I'm willing to constantly fight like this, and why heroes like Bane tend to suit me quite well. I was actually quite happy that I hadn't died a shitload of times so far. I typically feed a lot when I play safe lane, just because I throw my body at the enemy team a lot, which is generally a good thing. But in the case of, here I'm dewarding here, I'm checking to see where the sentry can be placed. I barely catch the observer ward. So I end up getting the D-ward, so now I can pull again later on. But now that Gunner is going to jungle, which he communicated to me, I'm basically just going to sit in my lane and try to get as many levels as possible. So yeah, leveling Nightmare. I want the cooldown to be as low as possible, because I can basically use it to keep one person out of the team fight constantly. The uptime becomes really good as the game goes on. 7 out of 13 seconds is more than 50% uptime. I used a Brain Sap here because my health was a little bit low and I don't have any regen items, so I wanted to do Sap. That way I could potentially Sap another time later on and prevent him from killing me. He's going to go for a little bit of a dive here. I'm going to have to use Nightmare, which is pretty costly for me. Kind of hurt me a lot there, but he isn't going to be able to see me now. Probably he's going to run back to the creep wave. He's going to resume pushing it out, and that is fine. Gunner finds a royal jelly. So again, resuming laning here if I can. I could potentially show up to fights, but it's generally better for me to stand in the lane. He's going to get a lot of these denies, unfortunately, but if I can get some of the last hits or some of the experience for free, it's a lot of resources on the map that we wouldn't be able to get otherwise. So this is the part where it gets really scary, because once his creep wave is under tower, he's going to try to dive me most likely. As you can see from my mana, I can probably Nightmare him, which I do. I'm going to be here for these range creeps dying, and I'm running around this angle. Normally what you'd want to do is go under tower, but what ends up happening usually is that they can kind of just dive you, and that doesn't work out very well. So instead I'm standing over here, which I haven't really done before, but he doesn't know where I am. I'm within experience range, and I can also swing in and potentially contest if needed as well. I was thinking about getting that last hit now that the creeps are dead. So when there's less creeps alive, you're going to feel a lot more comfortable to basically be under tower to get last hits, because that means that once the creeps are dead, all that they can do to fight you is to just attack you until while their creeps are alive. But if there's nobody alive, then I know that ooh, I fucked that up. I accidentally cast it a little bit early was the problem. So I ended up, I'm gonna die for this. I meant to Nightmare the Bristle, but I pressed the hotkey before it was off cooldown. Then I had to repress it again to click the hotkey, and as a result, I think I double casted it instead, something like that. So I ended up accidentally self-casted, which means I'm only invulnerable for 1 second, which it would have been better to either banish at least the IO or the Bristle. So anyways, I end up getting a 3rd point of Nightmare, and this might look really weird to you, and it is weird for sure, but I think it's the better move to do because of the cooldown reasons and the duration reasons that I mentioned before. It's going to allow me to take somebody out of a team fight a lot longer than otherwise would have been possible. Thinking about doing a Nightmare setup. He goes in the same time as me. So I'm going to Nightmare the Bristle, because that's the guy that we're not going on, and I want to make sure that he isn't able to help keep the Pugna alive in the meantime. He would have been able to use Quills and start right-clicking people and using Nasal Goo on people, but instead we're able to Nightmare him, take out the other guy, and then win the team fight. And yeah, I had 1 less cooldown on Brain Sap, but that's okay. I smoked here because I picked up level 6 and I had a Fiend's Grip available. You might also be wondering, why not get a point of Enfeeble now instead of... I ended up gripping him here because I didn't want him to tether over to somebody else. Maybe not worth it to grip for a level 4 support over a core, but we went for it. Anyways, you might think maybe better to get Enfeeble at this point because I have Fiend's Grip, and that's a decent argument because I would have been getting 0.3, 0.6... 0.9. I would basically get almost 1 extra second of Fiend's Grip, which is not bad, and 4% more damage from it, which is, again, not that much. 4 times 6. So maybe it would be worth it to get 1 more point of Enfeeble, but the same argument basically holds. I want to max out Nightmare. I will get Enfeeble eventually, but generally I delay it a little bit. I just don't think the single skill point is really that worth it until later on. I'm happy with Valve's change of it, because it does mean it's easier to elongate the duration of your grips, because in the past you'd have to cast Enfeeble first, then cast Grip, and a lot of times you do that, people are going to pop their Lotus Orb, or they're going to pop BKB, or they're going to use something that basically makes your grip not as effective, or they'll blink away, or Force Staff away, or Glimmer Cape, or all these different various methods that make it harder for your hero to be effective. So rather than that basically makes the hero more playable. I think the other reason his win rate has gone up a decent amount is because it's very easy for you to contest outposts with this hero right now. The reason being because outposts give vision. And they also, we'll talk about in a second here, trying to save Invoker here. I'm going to Nightmare one of these two. In this case, I ended up Nightmaring the Bristleback. Now the IO is going to run for his life. He ends up getting away, which is fine, I think. Now I'm on pretty long cooldowns. I don't think I'm going to be able to help Fogged here, unfortunately, but... Here's IO again. Nightmared myself for 15. Almost didn't get that kill in time. I don't know if Nightmaring myself there was the right move over like Bristleback, but might have just been better to Bristle. But I did dodge some stuns and things. It wasn't all bad. What was I saying? But yeah, banish, or sorry, Nightmare one of the guys, and then for the focus on the other one instead is usually your goal. Bristle has a Buckler and a Bracer, so he's got pretty good levels, but his overall tankiness is not super incredible. He does have 4 points in Bristleback, but again, I basically want to banish one guy and help kill the other. I've got Fiend's Grip up now. We haven't taken the tower down here yet. I definitely want to try to kill the Bat Rider if possible. I'm just going to grip this guy because it's going to save Fogged. Unfortunately, the Nether Ward is still up. I'm not too concerned. Good timing on the Force Staff. In all of that time, I definitely should have checked his items. Unfortunately, he's going to stay alive here, which is not fun. I did not realize he was relocating. I could have Nightmared him. I'm checking the timing, or the ability of Nightmare. And again, the scaling confirms. The cast range is really nice. The cooldown is really nice. I don't think this is a real cast range. I think that's wrong. I bought Tranquil Boots here just because it helps your movement speed a lot with Windlace. And that's going to make it easier for me to get in range to land disables. Monkeys got blasted here. I'm going to Nightmare the Bristle just in case. We ended up getting some really good mana drain as a result with Lil Nick's EMP. So that was actually a pretty solid use of mana. I lose 165, but the Bristle loses almost everything he has. We still should be fighting in this area. I'm checking for Observer Wards with my Sentry to help make controlling this area of the map better. This is why I'm playing down here, is because at somewhere around the 10-minute marker, sometimes even earlier, you should be playing on the enemy side of the jungle to get control of this area. It's even more important now that the shrines are gone. Obviously, this is an older replay from last week before that patch came through, but it definitely helps a lot to play in this area of the map. So if I want to sit down here and push, I'm comfortable doing that until more allies end up respawning. It's a little bit scary because I could very easily be ganked, but again, I can always nightmare one guy when they come to gank me, so I have some ability to save myself, and it's just kind of nice to be getting some golden experience down here anyways. And it's also not super unlikely that we have allies in the area. The fact that I guess they dewarded my other sentry, and it's still pretty dangerous for me to be farming considering my whole team is over here, but like I was definitely considering that I could definitely be ganked. But if they didn't have vision in this area, then there's a decent chance that I have cores in the area hitting creeps. So it's not, oh, my sentry is still alive actually. So it's not super unlikely that allies could back me up if needed. So I'm putting more sentries down. If possible, to look for wards in the area. My sentry goes down. It might get dewarded. Looks like, yeah, he puts the sentry down immediately after me to deward this. I'm also purchasing a buckler. I don't think anybody on my team had one this game. So I felt it would be valuable because it would give 2 armor and an AoE to everybody on my team, which is good against Bristle with his quills. So help me be tankier and help my team stay alive, that kind of thing. I know they dewarded my sentry here. I'm moving bottom now. He's using his ulti. I'm going to interrupt that with my ulti. And that will disable him for 7 seconds. I'm just going to Fiend's Grip the Bristle back now. He gets killed for sure. Great lasso to interrupt the IO here. And then a super easy kill there on him. That did prevent him from getting mana drained. But well, I was really late on removing Nightmare. I did not realize that he had taken it. Can always Nightmare myself if I need to. And I've grabbed an Enfeeble level, more status resistance reduction, magic resistance, that kind of thing. And I'm just going to let my Tranquils kick in now while I still play around my allies. I can always Nightmare if I need to. He looks dead. Should Nightmare the Bristle, probably. Wasn't quite necessary though, so I didn't bother for now. Trying to Nightmare the IO so that he doesn't get any more benefit in the team fight here. Nightmare gets transferred, and we just kind of work everybody down slowly. So staying on the outskirts of the fight worked out really nicely there. I can basically be there to try to save somebody if needed, but I can also just wait for Tranquils to kick in. It's really the benefit of this. And the fact that the rest of my team was just very willing to kind of keep rumbling. Like, Bristleback in IO is really nice if you focus the Bristle and the Bristle's farmed and it's hard to like kill him, but the issue for them is that it is hard for us to kill him, but I can always just consistently Nightmare somebody, which makes either the IO or the Bristle disabled for the fight, and makes it very difficult for them to feel valuable and feel necessary. I got a Brain Sap level next because I was trying to max it out first. Again, Enfeeble is a really good skill, but the single skill point is the most valuable one in terms of the status resistance, and that's mostly what I care about. I don't care about the magic resistance reduction that much. So I was pretty comfortable just getting, leaving it at 1 point and then trying to finish Brain Sap. For the reason that staying alive against Bristle when he runs at me is pretty difficult, so I'd prefer generally to have Brain Sap be maxed out. That way I can heal myself. Also contribute to ganks a little bit more too. Putting wards down aggressively where enemies are likely to run through as we move to deal damage to towers. Found a hero. I'm going to Nightmare the Bristle to give us some setup options here. I do not have enough mana for grip, unfortunately. I'll end up taking the Nightmare over his way. Looks like his tether got interrupted. I probably didn't need to grip there. I didn't realize this during, but I assumed that he had still had tether. But watching it now, I'm pretty sure his tether got interrupted. And now we're just pretty confidently running down our opponents. Io's dead. He can't save anybody. They have really weak disables. It's one thing they're lacking in this game. So it's hard for them to stop us from running them down. It's a big issue with their lineup. They've got very good like survivability and options and stuff, but you know, if you can't keep your allies defended, it's going to make the game difficult. I got the cast range talent here at 10. If I still had grip there, I maybe could have killed the AM, but unfortunately I don't have it. Queuing up Aether Lens next, which is the common Bane item to buy. Like I was mentioning before, Bane is really good at defending outposts for the reason that you get all this vision, basically. If somebody goes to try to take this, I can basically approach in trees and Nightmare or Fiend's Grip from trees and basically disable somebody for a stupidly long duration, which buys time for somebody else to show up and kill that guy. So anybody that tries to take outposts when you're playing against a Bane, it's really scary, basically, because I can guarantee that I catch those heroes and prevent them from escaping or from securing the outpost. With either I can throw Nightmare out really easily or even use Fiend's Grip too. So queuing up the Aether Lens to make that even easier, increasing my cast range for all of my abilities. You could maybe argue I should have gotten a Brain Sap level instead of the cast range, but cast range is going to make the team fights a little easier. Making Nightmare longer range is really nice, that kind of a thing. And it looks like he's moving for the outpost, so I'm going to move down here. Unfortunately, I'm going to get spotted by creeps. Probably. I think these did spot me. And I didn't necessarily want to show him, but if he's going to go for the outpost, I'm definitely going to approach. And this is the scary thing that Bane gives you, basically. That if they do want to contest this, they can, and they will do that now. They've got a lot of heroes down in the area. I've got grip now, too. Here's another issue with their lack of stuns. I'm looking for the fire spitter right now. Here's a relocate going through. I'm going to stop that from happening. I ended up gripping him. Maybe a little bit of a waste because Zeus could have bolted him, but effectively caught almost everybody here in the fight. Now I can chase it again. I've got Nightmare again if needed. And then we win that fight as well, get that kill as well. So basically across the board, team fight is pretty straightforward, right? If they want to contest the outposts, I'm going to be here to set up and buy my team time for allies to get there. Nick helped out. I mean, he did break my Nightmare, but I think it was completely fine because what it accomplished was making sure that we got some nice disable and damage on the IO, among others. And then I just eventually have to pick a Fiend's Grip target. I didn't really need to Fiend's Grip there because everybody was kind of running already. I mean, I maybe could have gripped somebody initially, but I wanted to go look for the Snapfire because I thought maybe if I grip her and interrupt her ultimate, that would be really effective towards helping our team win a fight. By the way, they're doing a really good job of dewarding all of the wards in this area, which makes the game a little tough. I got a Philosopher's Stone here, which is a GPM bonus on my hero. It's a little bit scary. Got the D-ward. They might go on me, but I'm not too worried. Just going to banish the guy. It's a little scary now, though, I must say. I look pretty dead. That helps a lot. Oh, he got re-Nightmare? That was really bizarre. Really weird. The Nimbus from Fogged was huge, though. I don't know if they're expecting that to be ready already, but dude's got 7 kills and Nimbus finished, so yeah. Makes the fight a lot easier. And now that they have dead heroes, I feel comfortable moving over, getting D-wards. And now maxing out Enfeeble as well to increase my disable durations. With 4 skill points, I'll double the initial status resistance, so give me an extra couple seconds on my disables. I guess you could argue that getting more Enfeeble would be worth it as well, because of what it provides my allies. Like if I brain sap somebody and Zeus nukes them afterwards, lowering their magic resistance would be better. I guess that's one aspect of Enfeeble that I overlook quite a bit, in a way that makes Bane actually better as a hero, because it helps you and your allies focus one guy by lowering their magic resistance. So it's kind of useful against Anti-Mage when I have a Zeus, I guess. I've got that going for me. It's not like the most incredible thing, but I remember having a lot of item issues this game. I was like very full on items all the time. But should swap that one mango when I need it is what I should do. But yeah, increasing your team's damage to other people is really valuable. Like I can grip a Bristleback and he takes more magic damage from allies that are going on him, for example. But you know, Nightmare does that too, actually. Apply Nightmare, more magic resistance for 8 seconds. It's kind of cool. I should probably be looking at my target more than I am currently doing, which is I get that I'm focused on warding and all, but Nightmare that guy to keep him out of the fight, whatever he's trying to do. Ends up dying here. I'm just going to grip this guy because my whole team is here and he's very solo. Just super easy kill, right? He's by himself. We have great vision. Our whole team is coming. If I just disable him, he dies. So easy kill against Bristle. He, what items did he go? Pipe and Buckler. He doesn't have very much raw HP. Is definitely an issue for him right now. He's trying to finish his Vanguard and Crimson, I guess. He bought these out just now. But I feel like he needed a treads or something all game just to get his HP up, you know? I think that would have made his game a lot easier. So, in the meantime, looks like they actually did deward my cliff ward, unfortunately, that I just placed. Which is sad. But yeah, they have so many sentries in the area, trying to spot all of our observer wards. This is a cool ward as well. It's going to help spot if we're rotating in to team fight. I don't know why I'm standing still. I think I was changing my headset battery or something. Must have been doing something like that. Could have been dewarding, setting up this whole time, for example. Man, they actually put sentries everywhere down here. Again, with the purpose of trying to control this area to fight. I'm nightmaring him just in case he was trying to relocate. Doesn't look like he was, but this makes things a little bit easier. Should probably sap a creep to get a little bit of a heal here.
I will commit this to memory.
Thinking about nightmaring, see if I can get a setup basically. I could have nightmared that guy. Give us a Bat Rider setup, for example. Trying to get vision advantage here. They actually have a sentry on the other side, not this one. Am cutting our waves, and now we are looking to fight. We actually tried to relocate. Oh, I still had him gripped in base somewhere. Where is he? In Fountain? Yeah, he's in Fountain. I just held it. That was a dieback on the puck, so it's pretty straightforward to go high ground now. One of the big downsides to playing IO is that it does restrict your hero's capabilities. Sometimes like this. That's when I realized, oh, Aether Lens, that's right, good item. We lost all of our creeps, so we just have to kill through backdoor. The Pugna DC, was this really the end of the game? I don't remember. Buying more sentries because that is the play of the position 5 support. Trying to get area control advantage. Using that to win easy fights. On a ward right in front of the tower, it was unlikely they had a ward there, and it's also going to help us a little bit with the tier 2. Now we could go back and potentially set up to try to defend against the split push, but Gunner called for powering through. And this is one of those moments where it's just probably better to take the tower if possible than it is to back up, take the outpost, and then take the tower, just because we have a good gold advantage, and also the Pugna is DC'd. I don't remember if he comes back or not. The other talent I got, I got the experience gain talent. The magic resistance wasn't it when I played this game, but if I had to go back and pick talents again, I definitely would take magic resistance. I'm almost always going to take magic resistance here. Just because this guy does a lot of magic damage. AM multi is a lot of magic damage. Really hard to catch him there. The bolt was a really good attempt. It would have interrupted his blink, and then they might have caught him, but yeah, magic resistance against Pugna, who amplifies magic damage. It's good against Mortimer's Kiss's ultimate as well. The spell amp is okay. 8% is good because it combos really well with Enfeeble, but I don't see it as a really huge advantage personally. Because you do some magic damage, and yeah, that is more spell amp for Brain Sap to deal damage, which means you heal for more, but I don't really think that nuking is not what Bane's about. It's mostly about disables, basically, if that makes sense. Maybe there's some reality where you could do some weird build where that makes sense, but with like tankiness Bane, but I don't, outside of like winning a lane and then having them not be able to lane anymore, there isn't really a lot of value, I don't think, in worrying as much about magic damage like that. I'm queuing up a Blink Dagger next because that's going to make it easier for me to set up these Grip or Nightmare setups. I've already got great cast range, but being able to position myself in the right place to follow them up is really good. Looks like the Pugna finally came back, good for him. Again, looking to grip anybody I might need. Gonna Nightmare the IO if needed. Trying to kill the Pugna here. Looks like he ends up getting killed. Once IO dies, we can basically get a kill. I end up gripping the Bristleback, which I kind of wish it would have been the AM instead, personally. If I grip the AM, the fights get a lot easier. He ends up getting killed. I didn't necessarily need to Nightmare him, but it did buy us a little bit of time for some cooldowns. So it's kind of okay. But yeah, we ended up losing Gunner. You have to be really careful trying to Fiend's Grip an AM because he's always going to use his third skill to reflect single target abilities, and Grip would be the perfect ability to reflect. It's the long cooldown. It would stun him for like 8 seconds otherwise, so make sure that you either cast that instantly, or if you want to play it safe, you can throw Nightmare first. If Nightmare connects, he's going to be slept for 7 seconds. If it reflects back on you, I can always turn it off for myself, only losing the mana and the cooldown. So yeah, Nightmaring first against people that have like Lincoln Spheres or Reflect skills or Lotus Orbs is almost always a little bit safer. Or you could just be crazy and try to throw the grip. Now, this is the biggest thing that Bane cannot do. It is push lanes. This is the extent that I can push lanes. It doesn't help that I've lost 35 damage.
I will commit this to memory.
So lane pushing, not Bane's strength, but what you're good at doing is playing around lane pushers. That way you can help set up ganks or counter ganks for anybody that gets going on. That's the aspect that Bane is really effective at. I had to message Sean there, he asked if I could play. I cannot. So Blink Dagger purchased. We're going to go across the map again, try to regain a little bit of map control. I have not done a good job buying sentries since I think I got my courier sniped is what happened. My courier got sniped, I believe. I'm about to get like 6 sentries, I think. Okay, that's literally not even my courier. Oh yeah, it is dead. Here it is. 10 seconds. I got it sniped, so I lost my sentries pack, which means that it's going to be harder for me to regain map control. Barrett are buying back because we have an opportunity to push here. I don't know if that was necessarily a good idea, but I guess we're here, so YOLO. If I had wards, I'd put one on high ground. If I had a sentry, I'd put a high ground to the top to help spot enemies from coming. He's putting his illusion really far forward to give good vision. I'm probably sitting too far back, but what I wanted to do here was use a smoke. That way it's going to be harder for them to see where I am, which means I can basically grip whoever whenever they go on us. Just makes my life easier, basically. And we just need high ground vision. Here's my items coming. As Gunner continues to slap buildings for free. They smoked as well. So I went to... Pause for a second. So what I went to do there was I wanted to brain sap first. Because I think he had a Lincoln Sphere, and I think I knew that, I'm pretty sure. So I brain sapped first to break his Lincolns, and then I went to Fiend's Grip him. But the problem is that as soon as I broke his Lincolns, he pressed his third skill to reflect abilities, knowing that I was probably going to try to Fiend's Grip him. And at first I thought, like, man, how is he going to expect that from happening? But the sound from Lincolns is pretty obvious, right? So he should be worried about that. So he's going to press his shield as soon as he hears his Lincolns pop. So maybe I should have waited, because the shield thing only lasts for a few seconds. It lasts for 1.2 seconds. So if he blinks in aggressively like that, I break his Lincolns and he uses Counterspell, I just have to wait a second and a half, and then I have to grip. So the way that I executed that was a bad idea against the Lincolns of an anti-mage. But it's not often that you play against an anti-mage with Lincolns, that's for sure. He just literally exploded. There's his shield going away. I break his Lincolns again. He ends up blinking away. He looks fine. I'm going to Nightmare the Pugna as we kill this dude. Break Lincolns again. And being aggressive again. I didn't do a good job of removing Nightmare after he sundered, which is something I'm very painfully aware of this time. He ends up getting killed there. Another Nightmare setup, allow people to follow up. I am trying my best to not die. Really wishing I had a magic wand this whole time. So I'm bringing my magic wand here. I'm like, might as well accrue some charges slowly, you know? But I just don't have the mana to do much. He ends up sundering me to get full HP, understandably. And now Gunner started the longest chase ever, so let's take a watch at how he plays this one. He is quite farmed. With some reflection. Put some mana drain on the anti-mage. Illusion rune's very good. Oh, maybe they stopped chasing him. Alright, I thought it was a really long chase for some reason. I thought I remembered that. He technically should have done... Oh, it is. Okay. They must have had a ward here or something? Maybe he knew that he would be there? Dispels instantly, and then he instantly mantas and turns on him. That was really good. He knows that TB is going to beat AM in a 1v1 fight, right? He's got 50 armor. He's got insane armor. It's actually bonkers how much agility he has. But AM does not do so well against physical damage. He just has straight up less armor, and he doesn't deal that much physical in comparison to Terrorblade. He does a lot of damage, but it's not like game changing, you know? So he's just checking to see if an anti-mage is top. AM showed middle, so that is all good. I bought a Vlad's next because I already had a buckler and I had the money to upgrade. I could have also bought like a force staff, would have been good because I can use that to break Lincolns also. But I just wanted an aura item because we didn't have any aura carriers really, and having an extra 3 armor, the mana regen, and 25% lifesteal could really help out in a couple cases. Because you know, if I have squishy allies like Zeus or myself, we're gonna take a lot of damage from right clickers. So having Vlad's against that is only going to be better for our team. I think this is the moment when we spotted AM behind me, but I think he quelling. What happened was he quelling my ward. Nightmare to try to break it, but yeah, the sentry kind of wrecked me here. Actually, no, it didn't. My ward's still there. The ward, there's just a bug with the minimap. Just can't see items like I'm supposed to be able to. This time do you see how I waited this time? I caught him. I'm going to die though. But I did prevent him from anti-maging. Gunnar was roshing, that's why this fight felt really hard, but I did not realize. Make playing aggressively. Little mana drain and right click on the bristle here. Spirit Vessel very good against him. And it got blown up by the Nether Ward. Got the meta attack range talent. That's a 9 stack of sticky. And now everybody kind of just died. He just blew up the IO. Which is a good choice. Does AM have MKB? He doesn't have Butterfly either because he bought E-Blade for some kind of weird reason. And Gunnar decided to just kind of kill everybody before the game was over. It's the reason Gunnar is a pro Dota player, guys. Anyways, that's Bane. Bane is very good right now. The game's a lot harder, obviously, if they have stuns and disables and silences and crap. But I guess looking back on it, we kind of had they had a really garbage draft, and that's part of the reason this game was straightforward for me. Like every grip I did, I the only way they actually interrupt my grip is either Snapfire Cookie, or anti-mage ulti, or a basher. And that's it. They didn't have a lot of good options. Maybe Io just not a very good hero. Io Bristleback, kind of cool in theory, and I think, were they on a team together? No, they weren't. He was just trying to play, he was playing with AM technically. And I don't know, man. Bane, he's the hero, he's good. His win rate's really solid right now. Let me check what it is in game. Intelligence. Pretty decent, above 50. It's a lot higher than it used to be. It used to be like sub 50, I believe, for quite a while. 20% spell lifesteal. What do I need to get? They have like these talents on the right are just so weird. The armor one is fine. I think some games it's really valuable. But like spell lifesteal? The people trying to get us to get Radiance on Bane, genuinely? Is Radiance Bane the way? It would allow you to push lanes. But it can't be good. I am relatively sure. It's not supposed to be good. And then you don't have 50 movement speed, which is crazy too. Radiance Bane, Radiance Bloodstone Bane, is that the move? With Ags? Radiance Ags Bloodstone? That might be it, guys. We invented a new thing. I'll try it sometime. Alright, thanks for watching. Goodbye.